Good evening, everyone out in Gotta Get Blogging land and Google Plus land. I am very excited to be here tonight with my good friends Greg Trujillo and Chef Dennis to talk to everyone in the Gotta Get Blogging community and out in the broader Google Plus community about one of my favorite topics, which is Google Plus etiquette. I guess we'll start off with some brief introductions. My name is Carolyn Capern. I'm the co-founder of CT Social. I'm mostly the content half of the company, and I work very closely with my wonderful friend over here, Greg Trujillo, who is our development half.
Oh yeah, working on code is pretty much what I really like to do, but just seeing any technology and how the future of the web is changing, and that's why I'd like to definitely talk about Google Plus, because that's something that's been around for a little bit now, and it has been changing the way that social media is perceived, especially by marketers. So it's definitely something I'm really passionate about.
Oh yeah, and we've got our good friend Chef Dennis here. Dennis, why don't you unmute yourself and introduce yourself to our global audience?
Hey everyone, I'm Chef Dennis, and I love Google Plus. And as you can see, I'm not home right now, but I am out at a restaurant at Rollins College, and stumbling for the name, so I'm going to find it right now for you. Hamilton's Kitchen, and it is Hamilton Kitchen's at the Alfond Inn, and this place is just magnificent. I had no idea it was even here. I had to drive through a parade to get to it, so it's been fun one so far. Yeah, but Google Plus. Everybody knows Google Plus is pretty much my favorite social media. It's really the only one I use for connecting with people and for branding myself. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, we are very, very glad that you were gracious enough to join us. You're a top-notch blogger in your own right, and so I think you'll have a lot to add to the bloggers who are watching here, especially if any of them happen to be food bloggers and maybe struggling a little bit and stumbling a little bit in trying to get their message out there. Because the core of the reason we chose this as our very first topic. It may seem strange to some people, some bloggers particularly who are watching, who are used to thinking of social media in terms of the techniques of how you share your posts. And the thing about social media is that the biggest difference between platforms is not the technicalities. It's not Google Plus circles versus Facebook friends versus Twitter followers, or anything like that. It's the way you conduct yourself on the platform that makes the biggest difference in whether you succeed or fail there. If you try to use a technique that is great on Facebook, it may not always be so great on Google+. So we're here tonight to talk a little bit about some of those techniques that we've all found very helpful on Google+, and that are generally recognized as the top success strategies in terms of etiquette for Google+. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Greg, why don't you?
Before we get started, I just wanted to make mention of the chat feature on Gotta Get Blogging. If you're on gottagetblogging.com watching this, there's a chat on the bottom right hand of the screen. If you just click on that and chat into that, we're going to be monitoring, and we're going to try and answer some of your questions.
And you know what? Before we get started, it is probably also a good idea to say that this is going to be one of the few free webinars on gottagetblogging.com. We're doing this as a special free event to help build some recognition for the site. But it is really, really an exciting new platform. Our friend Bess Auer from Florida BlogCon is the core creator of that site, and it's a new social network of sorts, but it's just an educational community for bloggers only to connect and talk to each other. So we've been part of it early on, so it's been really exciting to learn on the other webinars that have been happening, and anyone who's participating tonight can check it out and get a free trial if you're not on there already. So I think that's all the administrative stuff, right, Greg?
That sounds like it, yes. And I'd also just like to throw in a little personal note. Like right now, we're actually in the middle of moving our offices, and as you can see behind me, there's some totes. We're still unpacking and everything, so that's why there's this big echo and this annoying beep that we haven't quite figured out how to turn off just yet. So please bear with us. Things will get better next time. But with that being said, yeah, let's just dive right in.
So, number one on Greg's and my list of social media principles to be aware of is the difference between broadcasting and networking as a technique. Greg, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. One of the things that I notice really happens a lot on social media. It really doesn't matter the platform you're on, but it's especially taboo on Google Plus is posting and then just leaving. Just what we call broadcasting. That's a very popular mode of communication, especially, we're all used to it, watching television. We're used to being talked to, not talked with. And that's a big faux pas on Google Plus. You definitely want to try to engage with people and talk to them, not just posting your self-promotional posts and going on your way. Most people on Google Plus aren't really interested in that. I mean, there are a lot of marketers and there are a lot of bloggers on Plus, but we try to be very respectful of everybody and not waving around a sign saying buy my stuff constantly, because nobody wants that. That's a really quick way to kill a social network, is by constantly just trying to sell to everybody you know. So instead of trying to sell to anybody on Google Plus directly, try to build relationships, get to know people, find out what makes them tick. You should honestly strive to comment more than you post. I would say about 3 times as much commenting on other people's posts than posting your own posts. And you should also try to share more. Involve yourself in the conversation. It's a social network, it's not a broadcast network.
Absolutely.
For food bloggers, when you talk about how you share, I mean, a rule of thumb that I've always been told is 1 of your posts, 4 other posts from other people. So you want to keep your posting to about 20% of your own posts and 80% of other people's posts. And the thing to remember with this is that good content is good content, no matter whose content it is. So you have to find that good content and share, and that's what's going to bring people back to you. It's not necessarily that constant look at me attitude that's going to win you people. It's your quality content that you're sharing and how you go about sharing. And Greg's absolutely right about commenting. That's how you engage with people. That's how you make new friends. That's how you get influencers to listen to you, by leaving those comments. And one thing to remember when you leave those comments is to try and plus mention their name, because a lot of times people will not see the comment unless their name is included in it.
Yeah, that was a really good tip right there, making sure to plus mention people. I think there's been a few analytical studies that have come out that it actually suggests that when you plus mention someone, they're 75% more likely to respond than if you just write a comment without actually tagging anybody in the comment. You're muted, Carolyn.
Yep, got it. No, that's absolutely true. And it spills over into communities, which are a really core and integral part of Google Plus life, much in the way that Facebook groups are over there. And it works fundamentally the same way. But communities are a big place where people stumble a lot because they're justifiably acknowledged as a place that is one of the best that you can go to actually meet people on Google Plus in a similar subject area that you're interested in. Greg and I, for example, are active members in several social media communities, and Chef Dennis is the leader of the food blogger community. And Dennis, I know you see you've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of spammy practices in your community that you've had to crack down on. And Greg, you moderate the Orlando community here locally, and you've seen the exact same thing. You've had to smack down some people pretty hard. So, Dennis, what have you seen in communities that you would love for people to know about in terms of improving the way they conduct themselves on Plus?
The first thing they need to do is when they go into a community is see what the guidelines are, see what is allowed and what is not allowed. In terms of food blogging, and it would equate to any kind of blogging. If all the community is a link dump, if you go in this community and you see nothing but shares of posts, shares of posts, shares of posts, that's the wrong place for you to be. You're really not going to gain anything if there's no real engagement, if there's no talking back and forth. So whenever I see that in my community, right away it gets flagged. If they're new and they don't know, I'll tell them. But I also send out a little thing to everyone that asks to join, telling them about what the rules are, and by adding me to their circles, they're agreeing to the terms. So I don't have a lot of tolerance anymore because I've been, this is almost 2 years now for this community, and it's kind of, I've lost that little, well, maybe they didn't know. Says, yeah, they did know, they're just being rude and ignorant. So
I think a lot of moderators are like you too. A lot of moderators lose patience for spammy practices pretty quick. You can always tell, and it's called link litter. It's it's kind of like the trash strewn all over the yard. You wouldn't want to walk into a park where the trash was all over the place, and just like you wouldn't want to walk into a Google Plus community where all you see are just links and links and links and links. So, Greg, what have you tried to encourage people to do in the Orlando community to drive more engagement?
Well, I did set up the community guidelines, and like Dennis said, a lot of people just really don't read them. They just go into the community and then just automatically post. And usually those people are spammers. They're posting the same exact thing in like 4 to 5 different communities. And just a really quick check on the profile lets me know that that's the activity that they're doing. And usually what I do is I try and send them a polite as possible note that tells them that unfortunately what they're doing on Google Plus is frowned upon, and many people see it as spam, and that I understand they're not intending to spam, they just want to get their message out, but I would like to try to help them by giving them advice on how they can reach more people and grow a following on Google Plus. And usually I link them to a couple of resources, a few of our own at CT Social, and a couple from other people that I really respect on Google Plus that I think have really nailed it down on how to grow and how to engage. And I try to make sure that they respond to me and verify that they read the posts before I continue to let them to post in the Orlando community. Lately, because we've been really busy and hectic, I haven't been able to moderate the Orlando community as much as I'd like to this week, but I'm usually pretty strict about it. I really don't, I don't play games there. If I warn you twice, the third time you're banned from the Orlando community completely. I'm not going to deal with it. I want it to be a very, a very welcoming place that people really want to go to and talk with everybody and potentially meet people from it as well. Biggie, from Deli Fresh Threads, he actually posted his first time posting his event in there, his sandwich meetup, and I think it's already getting a pretty good response. It looks like a few people from the community are going to show up. I know I'm definitely going to show up as well, and I love Southern Moon Smokehouse. That place is awesome. So there's no way you can beat me with that. It really is just about trying to tell people that you're really trying to help them and not just smack them down right away and say, hey, look, you're doing everything wrong, read the guidelines and try and come back. Just try to nurture and show people that this is a place of growth, and that if you have questions, that I'm here to answer them. And you're never going to see any of my posts in the Orlando community about marketing. I don't really do that. I try to encourage growth instead.
Hey, Beth has a good question over here in the chat. She's wondering where you find the community guidelines. Where is best to look? And I know it is actually different across depending on the community. Some of them write a pinned post that is up at the top, and they just leave it there. All the moderators leave it there, and you have to sometimes you have to comment or +1. It varies. Others will actually link it in the description or have it written out in the community description. Those are, I would say, the 3 most common. Wouldn't you guys think so?
Yes. I'll do a screen share and actually show on the community where you can see the community guidelines. That way we can get a nice visual of what that actually looks like. And if you notice on my screen here, you can see the Orlando community, or at least I hope you can. And right here, there's this About This Community section, and right in here are the community guidelines. Everything that I would like you to know about what the community is and how you can actually grow in the community as well.
If you look at that again, where it says 3 posts flagged as spam, Google does tell us what they believe is spam, and sometimes it isn't. But this is what they're telling me. Now, let's say you post in different communities, and you post the same thing in these different communities. If I think it's only like 2 people flag you as spam, Google takes a look at you. If you start getting more posts that you're flagged as spam, pretty soon they're just going to get rid of your account completely, because they're going to think you're a spammer. So this is a good reason for not posting things in communities. I mean, I see food bloggers are notorious for it. And they'll go in, and I'll go to their page, and there will be 5 to 10 communities with exactly the same post posted to it.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean that seems to be the way that that Google is dictating what spam is. But I've also noticed, and I'm not sure if you have, the more that I flag particular content as spam, that actually ends up in here as well. It's like Google is learning what it is that I don't like in my community and starting to flag it automatically before it even hits the community to allow me to moderate it if necessary, which is actually really convenient that I don't have to fish through every single thing and see if it's actually spam or not.
I know with mine, actually, most of the stuff isn't spam now. They're erring on the side of being more careful just for some of the things I have marked. And sometimes it's how the blogger posts, too. They make the post look like spam just on how they're setting it up. So you have to think about how you post and be smart about it.
Hey, let's talk about hat tipping. We talked, and because I love my hats. My one hat in particular right now. But so on Google Plus, we talked a little bit about how important it is to share, and how good content is good content. And if it appeals to you, you should share it. And when we did our presentation at Florida BlogCon, Greg and I talked extensively about how important it is to share publicly versus sharing privately only to your circles. And we'll probably go more into that in a future episode. But for now, let's talk a little bit about giving credit where credit is due. Greg, you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, this is it's a pretty simple concept that you see a post and it it's one of your friends that just shared it, but you see that somebody else originally posted it, so originally posted by. And when you go to share it, let's say you really enjoy it and you want to share that with your followers as well, it takes out the person's name that you actually saw share it. Instead, it shows that you're sharing it from the original poster. So what we've done on Google Plus is a hat tip, usually H/T, or people actually write hat tip out, and then you plus tag, so you just put plus and mention the person that you originally saw the post from, giving them credit for allowing you to see it in your stream. That does a couple of things. First of all, it allows your followers to see somebody new. There's more discovery on people that you think are worth following. And in addition, that gives them a notification that shows that you shared a post that they originally shared, and gives them a little bit more notification that you're actually interacting and engaging with their content, so that hopefully they engage with your content as well. And that's one of the concepts we usually talk about, which is tipping the scales. And if you're sharing somebody's content that that you've interacted with, and you're plussing their stuff and you're commenting on them, you're actually creating an imbalance in the relationship. And usually people want to reciprocate that and will share your stuff and comment and plus on your things as well.
It works really, really well when you give that kind of acknowledgement. It really makes people feel very good to, I mean, as bloggers, we all know this, I think. We all know how nice it feels when someone shares our content and gives us credit for what we've done. So the hat tip strategy is a perfect way to do that, and it's not entirely considered bad form not to hat tip, but it's definitely a way to get ahead, and it's definitely a way to make sure that you're standing out and giving the kind of acknowledgement that will get the people you're acknowledging to then notice you and hopefully start sharing your stuff. And that kind of thing is very powerful. We on people on Google Plus, just like on any other platform, you pay a lot of attention to that little notification bell. When it goes off, you call it Mr. Jingles, and Mr. Jingles comes a calling pretty regularly, and then you get distracted, and off you go to the races. But one of the things that will often show up in notification circles, and people will put these notifications there unintentionally, is when you share a post and then you decide to specifically notify your circles about this. Notifications can work both well and badly for you if you try to use them. Really, all you have to do, you can share notifications to individual circles or to all your circles on Google Plus. But you can also and there's lots of different ways to do that, but a lot of bloggers do it without permission, sending those kinds of notifications. So I'm going to let Greg jump in and explain.
Yes. Well, I think we skipped over mentioning comments, but that's pretty much the same thing as a hat tip strategy. So we'll talk about notification circles real quick, and I'll show you what Carolyn has been talking about when she means sharing to a specific circle. So if I'm going to write a post and I click here, and right now it's already set to public, my extended circles, and just my general circles. What I can do instead, if I want this post only to go to my Orlando circle, I can click on my Orlando circle here. And now when I type up a post, what's going to happen is everybody in that circle is going to get a notification. I'm going to share it, and people might be annoyed with me, but whatever, who knows? People might actually talk with me. So you can see right here it actually says shared privately, which means that only the people in my Orlando circle can actually see this post. Nobody else can see this post, even if they went to my profile. It's just not available for them. So one of the problems is when we're sharing, and we're only sharing to our circles, we're not sharing to public, your circles, and extended circles. Only the people that you're sharing to directly can see that post, making it limited on the amount of eyes that actually see that. So now the notification circle that Carolyn was talking about, let's say that we still have all the public and everything, and now we've checked this. Also send an email to your circles. So for some people, they'll receive an email. Other people will receive a notification up here at Mr. Jingles, and for most people, that's very frowned upon to send a notification like that, making sure that they see the post in that manner. It's unless you know them, unless you specifically ask them, or they've told you that they would like notifications on specific blogs that you write or specific content that you share, you definitely don't want to do that. That is a very quick way to get blocked by people on Google+.
You have to think about your message and what you're sending out. And generally the best way if you don't share to public, you're eliminating the fact that anybody can really share it, because you're forcing them to share it to their circles then. And anytime you share to circles, it's pretty much looked as spam. So if you don't have permission, like Carolyn said, to send it to these circles, you're doing a pretty bad thing. And I will pretty much block you the second time I see a post from you, and it just means I won't see any of your posts ever again. They're gone unless I happen to stumble across them. So you don't want to do that. You want to post to public. You want to let people find them organically, the way they're intended, and share them. And if your post is worthy of it, if it's good, it'll get reshared. If it's not, well, try again next time. And you can't force people to get your posts. And by doing that, you're going to end up losing a lot of friends, or people will encircle you, people will block you, and people will just normally think you're a nuisance. And that's not what you want to do. That's not how Google Plus works. So remember to share it to public, and then if you have permission, then share it out to your servers.
Yep. And getting that kind of permission is actually fairly easy. You really just start sharing your content publicly, like Dennis was explaining. But at the bottom of your individual posts, especially when you post something original, like if I posted something from our CT Social blog, I might put at the bottom, I'm starting a notification circle for people who want to stay subscribed to the posts that I publish on Google+. If you'd like me to add you to this circle, please comment below. So then whoever comments below that they'd like to be a part of my notification circle, I can add to this one circle, send a post just to them, notify them just like we talked about. They won't mind because they've opted in. It's kind of like a newsletter. You get really annoyed with email newsletter subscriptions when they're coming to you from people you don't know, like say someone met you at a networking event, took your business card, and took that as your permission to add them to your email list or to their email list. That's not good. That's very frustrating. Makes you very likely to unsubscribe in the same way. But when you ask people to be a part of it, it actually becomes a very powerful way to communicate with them. And a lot of bloggers have grown exponentially on Google Plus in terms of their regular following as a result of cultivating responsible, permission-based notification circles. And the same thing can be true of Hangout on Air shows. The same thing can be true of live events. It all works quite well. Joe, I believe, had a question in there. Greg, do you want to address that, and we'll let Dennis speak to it too?
Sure. He says that he actually has trouble going back and forth between his personal Google Plus and his business Google Plus. He can't seem to get them straight. So now we've come across several clients that actually have a similar issue, and what they did, and I don't know if this is what you've done, but it may be. What they usually do is they sign up for Google Plus, and so it might be at their company name at gmail.com, and then when they create their Google Plus page, their first initial profile ends up being for their business when it's really intended for a person, kind of like Facebook. When you first make your Facebook profile, the first thing that you should create is your personal profile, and then from your personal profile you can then create brand pages. So that's usually what happens. You usually have two what are intended to be your brand page, but one's a personal page and one's a professional page. Now, on switching quickly, again, I'll screen share this and I'll show you what I usually do when I need to switch my Google Plus pages. It's a really simple, either click on the icon, your icon up in the top right, and you can scroll through your pages and click on really any of those. And we'll go over to CT Social and you can see me sign into that right away, no problem. And there's another way, you can click the Home tab, and then there is actually, wow, if it actually stays for me, there's a Pages, which then again allows me to click on and manage any of the pages that I currently have control over. So being able to switch like that is fairly fluid. Sometimes when you do it through the profile link here, it opens up another window, another tab for you. As you can see, that just loaded something completely different. And that's really the easiest way to switch back and forth. Other than that, there's other situations that people may be running into, and if if that doesn't really help you, we need to know a little bit more about what specifically you're facing and what kind of issues you're having switching back and forth.
I think it'll probably be worth our time in the future, Greg, to do a whole show on personal profiles versus brand pages, because I know a lot of people have questions about that. It's a big struggle, and one where you're apt to find yourself growing on the personal page a lot faster than the business page, and all kinds of things like that. So we'll have to get to that in a future episode and spend some time there. But in the meantime, I think we're about at the point where we're ready to wrap up for the evening. Chef Dennis, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll come back and join us again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. And Bess has questions about how you get your stream so clear, so you might want to answer her for that next time.
Well, this is Wi-Fi. I got lucky tonight. This has really turned out to be an excellent place to be at. They have a lot of good Wi-Fi going on, and I'm just lucky.
Yeah. It's not always that way. We've all three of us, I think, have done some hangouts on air from some pretty unusual places and some pretty unusual circumstances. So thankfully, we're all in the zone of forgiving each other for technical snafus, background noise, weird beeps, and all kinds of other things that you inevitably deal with when you work in the online world. But for now, Greg, do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share?
Just remember, the number one takeaway when you're trying to make new friends is engage. You want to talk to people. You want to get to know their story. People usually do not become interested in you until you've shown interest in them. So, think about it as a networking event. If you went to a networking event, you wouldn't just start trying to hand out your latest blog that you've printed and throw it in everybody's face. Instead, you would talk to them. You would have maybe a drink with them and actually chat and get to know them, and then maybe move that relationship down the line.
It's got to be organic.
Social.
Yep, it's got to be organic. It has to be real for it to count. And just think of Patrick Stewart when you want to remember what to do and go, engage.
Engage. Yes, be social, engage. Hartley says hello and welcome to Google Plus to all of you who are new. And we are going to sign off our Google Talk TV episode now. And we'll look forward to answering your questions. Remember that Chef Dennis and Greg and I are all going to be available at different points in time to answer your questions in open office hours. Greg and I are doing ours digitally, and Chef Dennis, I believe, is doing his in person. Right, Dennis? When's your open office hours?
My next one is not this Saturday. Right now, I'm doing every other Saturday to see how people react. So it'll be the 26th, I think it is my next one, and I'm doing them at Celebrations, or the 25th. The 25th. I'm doing it at Celebrations Sweet Escapes Bakery. So you can get a nice cup of coffee, something. They have some really good pastries, and sit down and talk to me about Google Plus.
We might come and do that just for fun sometime. But anyway, for now, let us know what your questions are. We'll hang around in the comments as best we can. And thank you all for joining us. Have a great night.